What's up, Taiwan? How's it going? I'm Ethan Liu with 10 minutes of news from here in Taiwan and around the world. From Thursday, travelers arriving in Taiwan no longer have to quarantine. The lifting of border restrictions comes 2.5 years after Taiwan first implemented isolation measures in response to the coronavirus outbreak. Our reporter James Chater went to Taiwan's main international airport and met some of the people who had just landed.
Travelling to Taiwan just got a lot simpler. These international passengers are the first to arrive here who won't have to quarantine straight out of the airport. After more than 2 years, the government has scrapped isolation rules to combat the coronavirus. Some travellers planned their trips especially to coincide with the lifting of restrictions.
目前就感觉很像疫情之前，就是回来没有任何 繁琐程序的这样的一个感觉，对。
没有隔离哦，很好，那非常好啊，对啊，很开心。出来的很快，蛮快的，对啊，对，所以我很开心。
In early 2020, Taiwan was one of the first countries to implement entry restrictions as the pandemic paralyzed global travel. Taiwan's quick response won international praise, but the country has since lagged behind others in returning to normal. The removal of mandatory quarantine is aimed at boosting Taiwan's economy, but arrivals into the country will still be capped at 150,000 a week, and passengers must take a rapid test the day after they arrive.
It just adds a couple of extra productive days to the journey instead of having to come here and wait 4 days before you can actually start doing anything. I can get tomorrow in the office, and then I've got the whole weekend to go sightseeing and be a tourist as well as working here as well.
Taiwan's President Tsai Ing-wen visited the airport to thank officials for their work during the period of restrictions and to mark the reopening of Taiwan's borders.
那我要利用这个机会告诉我们国际上的好朋友，台湾准备好了，欢迎光临，邀请大家来台湾。
It's been 2.5 years since you could walk out of an airport here and head straight back into life in Taiwan. And while there is some nervousness about the border reopening, there's also excitement that the time has come for Taiwan to reconnect with the world. James Chater and Damon Lin at Taoyuan International Airport for TaiwanPlus.
Thursday's border opening ends 2.5 years of strict quarantine rules. Yu Jinhua looks back on Taiwan's efforts to stop the virus from entering the country.
This was the first batch of travelers who had to undergo mandatory quarantine in Taiwan. They were picked up from Wuhan, China, by a special government flight when the COVID-19 pandemic first broke out in early 2020. Shortly after that, Taiwan shut its borders completely to all, but returning nationals and residents who could only enter if they complied with strict rules.
那当然这几天国际的这疫情仍持续的升温那境外在台湾来讲，境外这一路的个案可以就是也是一样是暴增了那为因应这样的一个紧急的情况所以我们也宣布非本国籍人一律限制入境。那至于是不管是本国人或非本国人，只要是入境那都一律要居家检疫14天。
As soon as this announcement was made, the government launched a system to monitor people in quarantine using their phones. 2 months later, returning residents with vulnerable family members were required to quarantine at a hotel instead of at home. By 2021, all incoming travelers also had to provide negative test results 3 days before boarding their flight to Taiwan. The 14-day quarantine was only cut short at the end of 2021, when the government launched a special plan for the Lunar New Year holiday. The quarantine time was decreased further this May and June before it was lifted completely in mid-October. Taiwan attributes its early success in pandemic prevention to its strict border control policies. But the longer restrictions were in place, the more challenges they created. Aside from a labor shortage due to a lack of migrant workers, airline pilots went on strike in May this year because the policies barely allowed them any time with their families.
And for the last 2 years, we are allowed it to quarantine at quarantine hotel, but during the quarantine, if you do a rapid test, then you are allowed to perform another flight duty again. So if you are allowed to do the flight duty, it means you are safe, you are healthy. Then it means you are healthy enough to do the duties. Why not healthy enough back to my home?
The travel industry was among the hardest hit by the restrictions. And in March 2021, the government tried to help by creating a travel bubble with the country deemed to be at very low risk for infection, Palau. But there were still limitations on those wanting to make the trip, so the outcome of the travel bubble wasn't as good as the government had hoped. The strict quarantine policies did shift a few times with the availability of home testing kits and once vaccines were ready.
So the home test instead of quarantine, I think, is a really good new direction. Even though when they were starting to push for home test because of the new case spikes last couple months, then it was the mask, the vaccine, and the home test.
Taiwan is already behind most countries in reopening its borders, and confirmed cases here are now primarily local transmissions. Late or not, East border restrictions are now seen as a must if the country wants to stay competitive in the world. Klein Wang and Eugene Huang for TaiwanPlus.
A strong earthquake last month and recent heavy rainfall have caused landslides in Taiwan's main rice-growing region in the east of the country. A series of 7 landslides have struck the Chikeshan Industry Road in Yuli Township, Hualien County. These have been blamed on the powerful 6.8 magnitude earthquake last month, made worse by days of heavy rain that began last week. The road is an important artery for Yuli, home to the country's most productive rice fields. And the damage to irrigation channels means the crops aren't getting the water they need. County authorities say they're working urgently to reopen the road and give subsidies to affected farmers. 2 Taiwanese designers have featured in a new fashion show in Washington, D.C. that puts a spotlight on the people who dress world leaders and their partners. Liu Yongran and Justin Zhou have designed outfits for Taiwan's President Tsai Ing-wen. At the first fashion gala on Wednesday, Liu showed off an evening wear outfit inspired by the designs of Taiwan's indigenous peoples. Zhou's piece was a business suit with a bubble milk tea motif. The base color is the tea with a silk scarf the color of tapioca pearls. The gala was hosted by the Diplomacy and Fashion Project and showcased designs by 40 designers from nearly 30 countries. And now it's the best time of year to snap pictures of the greater painted snipe in Yilan County, where a local campaign hopes to make it the county's official bird. Ryan Ho-Kilpatrick reports.
As summer turns to autumn in northeast Taiwan's Yilan County, it's mating season for the greater painted snipe. The bigger and more brightly colored females spread their wings to scare off potential threats. The scene is a delight for bird watchers. And in a rarity among Taiwan's birds, it's the males that rear their young.
它是公鸟，就是鸟爸爸，负责孵蛋还有育雏，把小孩子孵出来之后，然后带到长大，让小孩子独立起来。
Among Taiwan's over 600 avian species, these stunningly feathered shorebirds are one of the very few polyandrous varieties, with females taking several partners at the same time. They're also being championed by members of the public who want them to become the official bird of Yilan County. Local authorities say they're looking into the possibility.
那我们正在县政府这边会持续的研议一个评选办法，那也欢迎各界一起来推荐我们的县长候选人。
Whether or not they take the crown, the greater painted snipe is already royalty in the wetlands and rice fields of Yilan. Ryan Ho-Kilpatrick for TaiwanPlus.
Thank you for watching What's Up Taiwan. Remember to download the TaiwanPlus app for more stories from Taiwan and around the world. Finally, we leave you with images of the Street Child World Cup held in Qatar, with football teams from over 25 countries taking part in the tournament. I'm Ethan Liu. Take care, and I'll see you next time.